From playful dares to fatal mistakes, the internet has claimed more lives than you might think. These are the 5 most terrifying deaths caused by online trends. May 15, 2011 began like any other night for Acton Beale. The 20-year-old had been out with friends in Brisbane and returned to his Kangaroo Point apartment feeling carefree. Like many in his generation, Acton was active on social media. He loved joining viral trends, and at the time, nothing was bigger than the planking challenge. Planking was simple. Lie face down, body stiff as a board, often in an unusual spot, and have someone take a photo. The sillier or stranger the location, the better the post. It started harmlessly, people planking on couches, fences, even office desks. But soon, the chase for attention pushed plankers to more extreme places: rooftops, cars, moving vehicles. The riskier the plank, the bigger the viral payoff. In the early hours of that morning, Acton decided to push the trend to its limit. He stepped out onto the balcony of his 7th-floor apartment. The ledge was only 5 centimeters wide. Still, he decided to go for it. A friend later told police they had tried several planking spots that night. The balcony was meant to be the grand finale, but it became the fatal attempt. According to Queensland Police Deputy Commissioner Ross Barnett, Acton lost his footing while trying to position himself on the ledge. He fell 7 stories. Bystanders reported hearing a loud thud, though details at first remained unclear. Paramedics worked on him for nearly 20 minutes, but despite their efforts, Acton was pronounced dead at the scene. His death became the first recorded fatality linked directly to planking. What many had dismissed as a silly internet fad was suddenly cast in a much darker light. Police later confirmed Acton had been drinking that night. Deputy Commissioner Barnett told the press that while planking could be done safely in controlled spaces, like homes or parks, the problem was judgment. The real danger, he warned, came when people risked their lives just for online fame. Authorities already knew the trend was escalating. Only days before Acton's fall, Queensland police had arrested a man for trespassing after planking on a police car. Reports also emerged of people attempting planks on rooftops, train tracks, and even moving vehicles. The lengths people would go for a viral photo were alarming. News of Acton's death spread quickly across the world. Prime Minister Julia Gillard called the incident really tragic and urged young people to make safer choices. A Facebook tribute page was created in his memory. At first, it filled with heartfelt messages, describing Acton as adventurous and kind. But soon, trolls invaded. They posted cruel comments, mocking memes, even a video parodying his fall. The video was taken down, and eventually the comment section was closed to stop the abuse. Within the planking community, debate erupted. Some insisted most people planked safely and that the tragedy unfairly tainted the trend. Others admitted it had always attracted reckless attempts. For Barnett, the issue was clear. The competitive nature of planking encouraged people to outdo each other, and that escalation, he said, was a recipe for disaster. Acton Beale was only 20 years old when his pursuit of online attention ended in tragedy. His death became a sobering reminder of the deadly risk behind viral social media challenges and the pressure to go viral at any cost. On May 3, 2024, in Fredericksburg, Virginia, 18-year-old Michael Allen Bosworth Jr. and his friends were out in the early morning hours. They were creating content for their TikTok followers. Like many of their peers, they were taking part in the Ding Dong Ditch Challenge, a prank that involves knocking on a door and running away. But what usually ended as harmless fun would take a tragic turn this time. Michael was a senior at Massaponax High School. He played football, lacrosse, and wrestled. He was a beloved student athlete, looking forward to prom with his girlfriend of 3 years. But his life was tragically cut short. Around 3 a.m., the group approached a house on Mackenzie Lane. The residence belonged to 27-year-old Tyler Chase Butler. Michael knocked on the door. As the teens turned to flee, Butler opened fire. According to Butler, he believed he was facing a break-in. He grabbed his gun and fired multiple shots as the teens ran away, without giving any warning. Michael was struck in the torso. One of his friends was grazed by a bullet. The other escaped unharmed. Deputies from the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office arrived after reports of shots fired. They found Michael critically injured. He never made it to the hospital. He was pronounced dead shortly after, just hours before he was supposed to attend prom. At first, investigators treated the case as an attempted break-in, based on Butler's claim. But the story didn't hold. When police interviewed the surviving teens and reviewed their phones, the truth came out. One admitted they were filming a prank video, going door to door, knocking and running, chasing laughs and likes. The phones contained footage of earlier pranks. The teens' intentions were clear: mischief, not crime. On May 6th, Tyler Butler was taken into custody. He was charged with second-degree murder, malicious wounding, and 2 counts of using a firearm in the commission of a felony. His bond was denied, and he was held at Rappahannock Regional Jail. The community was devastated. Despite her grief, Michael's girlfriend, Melinda Garcia, attended prom that night. She wore his bow tie in his memory. On Instagram, she shared photos and words of heartbreak, saying Michael didn't deserve his fate. Days later, students gathered on the football field where Michael once played. They released black and blue balloons in a solemn tribute. Counselors were brought into the school, but the loss lingered. Michael was supposed to walk across the stage on May 13th for graduation. Instead, his classmates had to celebrate without him. At his memorial service, family and friends remembered his joyful spirit and promising future. The shooting reignited debates on gun control, self-defense laws, and the deadly consequences of a prank gone wrong. In the blink of an eye, a young life was lost. Michael Bosworth Jr., 18 years old, left behind memories and a community forever changed by one night. This next story proves even the simple challenges can turn deadly. Stay safe, stay smart, hit like and subscribe. April 6, 2022 began like any other day in Roselville, Wisconsin. For Tanya Rodriguez, 44, and James Carolfi, 52, it was a morning in the garage. They were working on a shared project that had become their new passion. Tanya and James had recently discovered fractal wood burning, a technique that uses high-voltage electricity to etch lightning-like patterns into wood soaked in a chemical solution. The results are mesmerizing. Social media feeds, especially TikTok, are filled with stunning videos of this art form. But few realize the fatal risk behind it. That morning, Tanya and James were experimenting with a homemade fractal burning device. It was cobbled together from salvaged parts, microwaves, car batteries, wires. Impressive at first glance, but also lethal. Such devices can generate thousands of volts. One mistake and death can strike instantly. Tragically, that danger became reality. Both Tanya and James were electrocuted. The current surged through their bodies, causing cardiac arrest almost immediately. When they collapsed, the equipment is believed to have sparked. Flames erupted in the garage, spreading fast through the house. By the time firefighters arrived, the home was engulfed. Once the fire was contained, their bodies were discovered in the garage. But the circumstances raised questions. Why were Tanya and James in the garage at that time? And why did the fire start there? Investigators treated the scene with suspicion. Lieutenant Mark Waggers from the Marathon County Sheriff's Office confirmed no possibility, not even foul play, was being ruled out. Unusual details came to light. Tanya was found holding jumper cables. Wires were tangled around her legs. She also had a visible head wound. Detective Eric Anderson began looking deeper into their lives. Tanya and James had had a long-term, tumultuous relationship, though they were never married. Tanya was also romantically involved with another man, Brad Harrison. Their relationship, too, was riddled with problems and heated arguments. Brad quickly became a person of interest. Neighbors had reported hearing Brad and James arguing just before the fire. One neighbor even claimed to have heard what sounded like gunshots. Police tracked Brad down in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. He was found intoxicated in his car outside his workplace. Brought in for questioning, Brad had admitted he had recently fought with James. James, he said, had smashed his vehicle with a baseball bat. But Brad denied harming Tanya or James. He insisted the noises the neighbor heard were shouting, not gunfire. As Brad sat in custody, the autopsy results arrived. The findings changed everything. No soot was found in the victim's lungs, meaning Tanya and James had died before the fire. There was no evidence of blunt force trauma, no signs of poisoning. The marks on Tanya's body matched fire damage, not violence. The wires around her legs were likely tangled during the experiment. Then came the critical lead. A forensic pathologist contacted investigators with a hypothesis. The scene was consistent with a fractal wood-burning accident. A second search of the garage confirmed it. Microwave parts, electrical components. Everything pointed to the dangerous hobby Tanya and James had pursued. Friends later confirmed their eagerness to experiment with the method. On April 21st, the investigation concluded. The deaths were ruled accidental. Brad Harrison was released. Authorities issued a stark warning. Fractal wood burning is not just risky, it's deadly. The art form has claimed dozens of lives, including Matt Schmitz in 2020. In pursuit of beauty, Tanya and James took a risk. One critical error was all it took, and their passion ended in tragedy. In the quiet city of Lancaster, a sleepover on March 2, 2024, took a deadly turn. 11-year-old Tommy Lee Gracie Billington lost his life while attempting a viral challenge. His heartbroken family later revealed the cause. Tommy Lee had tried to take part in the perilous chroming trend. The social media challenge involves inhaling fumes from household products to achieve a temporary high. The risks are immediate and severe: hallucinations, loss of consciousness, and in many cases, fatal outcomes such as cardiac arrest or asphyxiation. During the sleepover, Tommy Lee inhaled a substance. Almost instantly, he went into cardiac arrest. He never recovered. At 12:04 p.m. on Saturday, the emergency call went out. Paramedics from Northwest Ambulance Service and police rushed to the scene. Despite their swift response, Tommy Lee's condition was irreversible. By the time he reached the hospital, he was later pronounced dead. Authorities initially classified his death as unexplained, but the family was certain they knew the truth. Shortly after, his grandmother, Tina Burns, went public on social media. She revealed that Tommy Lee had died while participating in the dangerous TikTok trend known as chroming. It happened suddenly. It happened tragically, and there was no time for intervention. Tommy Lee was cherished for his bright spirit, his generosity, and his warmth. He lived in Lancaster with his mother, Sherry. His father's side of the family lived in nearby towns. In her grief, Sherry used social media to warn other parents. She urged them to lock away household products and speak openly with their children about online risk. Her plea was heartbreaking and direct. Keep deodorants out of reach. It cost me my child. The term chroming may be new. It originated in Australia, but the practice itself is not. For decades, inhaling chemicals has existed under the names like huffing and sniffing. What has changed is the reach. Social media now pushes this behavior to younger and more vulnerable audiences at alarming speed. Police continued their investigation after the sleepover. 2 adults were questioned. A 25-year-old Lancaster man was arrested, charged with child neglect and possession of harmful substances, then released on bail. A 35-year-old woman was also interviewed and released under investigation. The official cause of death remains undetermined, but Tommy Lee's family is convinced chroming was the culprit. His grandmother Tina, a teaching assistant, has since made it her mission to raise awareness. She speaks in schools, she warns students and parents, and she already received countless responses from alarmed families, many choosing to restrict their children's access to social media immediately. Experts share her concern. Hannah Adonu-Hobbs, a social media analyst, described chroming as deeply dangerous and warned of its rapid spread. Even though TikTok has banned the term, similar content continues to circulate under disguised language. One such video demonstrated the method and gained over 700,000 views before being taken down. Tommy Lee's family now pushes for stronger online safeguards and stricter age restrictions on social media. For Tina, her grandson's legacy must serve as a warning. If his story prevents even one more tragedy, she says, then his death will not be in vain. An 11-year-old boy, a single online challenge, and a life cut heartbreakingly short. May 1st, 2019 began like any other day for 15-year-old Mason Bogard in Evansville, Indiana. He returned home from school, hugged his dad, and said a loving goodbye to his mom. Then he headed upstairs to get ready for the evening. Nothing suggested that anything was out of the ordinary. Moments later, everything changed. Mason was the youngest of 3 children. He lived a joyful, thriving life. He loved fishing and cooking. He was quick-witted, kind-hearted, and excelled academically. To his friends, Mason was thoughtful. To his family, he was a light. When Mason asked for a smartphone, his mom, Joanne, took a cautious approach. She set up parental controls, installed safety apps, and often discussed online dangers with him. Mason didn't spend much time on social media, but he was an avid YouTube fan. He loved outdoor and fishing videos. One day, he showed his mom a viral clip. It seemed silly to him. To Joanne, it felt unsettling. She took the chance to warn him about dangerous online trends. 2 weeks later, her fears came true. That night, Mason wished his parents good night and went to shower. Moments later, a loud thud shook the house. Steve, his father, and a seasoned firefighter sprinted upstairs. He found Mason unresponsive. A belt was wrapped tightly around his neck. No pulse, no breathing. Steve's training took over. He performed CPR. Mason was rushed to Deaconess Hospital, where doctors fought to save him. But his brain had been without oxygen for too long. The damage was irreversible. In the midst of grief, the family made one final act of love. Mason became an organ donor. 5 lives were saved because of him. Hospital staff lined the hallways as Mason was wheeled away. They stood in silence, a tribute to his impact. Later, Joanne discovered the reason behind the tragedy. Mason had tried the choking game, also known as the pass-out challenge, a dangerous online trend where kids restrict their breathing for a brief high, often recording themselves. On Mason's phone, a video showed him attempting it. He smiled, called out to his dog, and seemed unaware of the deadly risk. Authorities could not definitely link the trend to his death, but Joanne was convinced the algorithm had pushed the video to him, even though he never searched for it. On May 10th, the family held a farewell filled with color and light. Fireworks and lanterns lit the sky, honoring Mason's spirit. Donations in his name went to the Indiana Donor Network and the Wounded Warrior Project, proof that even in tragedy, his life touched others. Joanne, though heartbroken, refused to stay silent. She began speaking publicly, sharing Mason's story to warn other families. Soon, parents who had lost children to the same online phenomenon reached out to her. She realized Mason's story was part of something much larger. Her fight for change gained momentum. In March, Indiana passed Mason's Education Act, a law to protect students from online dangers. That same year, Joanne testified before Congress. She held up Mason's picture and challenged tech leaders directly. It was a pivotal moment in the movement for online safety. By July, the Senate passed the Kids Online Safety Act. Joanne's work continued. She joined Project Liberty, an initiative to rethink how platforms like TikTok operate. She still wonders, if stronger protections had been in place, would Mason be alive today? With a heavy heart, Joanne carries on Mason's legacy. She spreads awareness, advocates for safer online spaces, and moves forward with one unshakable hope: that no other family must endure the same tragedy. Click on the next video to see more shocking videos.